A New York statewide cell phone ban in classrooms is already showing positive results and making a big impact for students and teachers.
There's new data, and it reveals 83% of schools that implemented the smartphone restrictions reported a better classroom environment as well as better student engagement. Joining us now with more on this and protecting students in this digital age is New York State Governor Kathy Hochul. Nice to have you back on Good Day.
Thank you for coming in.
So what have you found out about the cell phone ban?
Well, the results are what I expected, but I had to persuade the rest of the state. I have been traveling around for almost 2 years, gathering teenagers and having forums with parents and understanding that our kids are really in the throes of a mental health crisis. And you ask, why is this happening now? I mean, we know teenage years are always tough. We live through that. But it really is the presence of a cell phone that all day long in school is taking you to a dark place. Or you're being mocked out or bullied by other kids, or the girls are meeting in the restroom and they're excluding you and you're stressed out about that, or they're making plans for a party on a Friday. These are all the stories I heard. And I said, you know what? We have to do something. And I talked to school boards and superintendents and teachers. No one wanted to take it on because the fear of the backlash from parents or students, and we just want to teach. We don't want to get in the middle of this. And I said, you know what? I'm a mom. I'm used to getting blamed for everything. Blame me. I will take this on behalf of the kids of this state. And I am so delighted about the cooperation we've had. We did a lot of training with our school districts, talked to teachers, talked to students. So it's literally starting in September. This was a whole new game in classrooms.
Yeah, we're hearing like kids are actually talking to one another. But also, Governor, you know about the studies. I mean, the studies with these kids with cell phones, I mean, they're finding, you know, if they have them before they're 12 years old, they're depressed, they're overweight. There's so many things. Do you have more plans with the cell phone ban? What are you going to do next?
Well, the ban was dramatic. I mean, we're the largest state in America that went literally bell to bell. I mean, some say you can use it during recess or during lunch. That defeats the purpose, because I have kids talking to each other during lunch now and making eye contact and playing games. They're bringing board games to recess. I think this is fabulous. And so we're letting kids be kids again. So don't underestimate the power of this. I think every state should do this. Absolutely. But we're also looking at the addictive algorithms that they're being bombarded with from social media companies. And we're the first state in the nation last year to ban this, to say that unless the parents consent, you cannot be sending all this unsolicited information to your kids. So, for example, a student looks up suicide. They're having dark thoughts. They want to look for a place that maybe give them some advice. It'll tell you how to commit suicide instead of giving you the relief you're looking for, the support you're looking for. So we have to protect our kids. Number one job, and I'm committed to this all the way through. We're going to have some new ideas in my state of the state. Even those AI companions where kids think they're dating somebody and getting emotionally involved with, you know, an AI caricature.
But they think they're talking to a human because they're kids.
They think they're talking to a human. And so moms and dads, we got to be aware of what's going on. These threats were not there when we were growing up. So I'm going to continue educating, but also passing laws to protect. But the cell phone ban, our kids are going to emerge more well-adjusted, happier, more functioning adults when they go into the workplace, because they'll be used to working in collaborative settings instead of just staring at their phone all day. And I encourage parents, at the end of the day, find other activities for their kids and do not be on your own cell phone during dinner, because your kids are watching everything you do.
Lots have been accomplished. Lots more still to be done, as you just said. This is the first chance we've had to talk to you since the election here of Zoran Mamdani. He's the mayor-elect right now. I know you congratulated him right after he won the election. Have you been in constant communication with him, regular communication with him? You've talked to him. What do you talk about?
Fairly regular. We're talking about how we can work together to make New York City more affordable. This is what the majority of voters want to have happen when they put their faith in him. It is my job as governor to make sure that whomever the mayor is, they're successful. I work closely with Eric Adams. I work with Bill de Blasio during the time we overlapped. And I'm committed to making sure that we focus on the issues like building more housing to reduce the cost of rent, that we focus on child care. I already started universal child care in the state of New York. We're on the path to get there. But what people need to realize is that you can't just declare there's universal child care. You have to have enough facilities. You have to have enough teachers and caregivers. And so we worked on this over the last couple of years to really position ourselves to take more steps together. And I know that's a priority of the mayor-elects, and we can work on that together. So our conversation has been very positive. It's just about the future of New York and what we're going to do together.
You endorsed him, you congratulated him, you talk about talking with him constantly. But, you know, you have some political differences, and you've been public about that. He's talked about free buses, which you're against. Universal child care, you kind of explained a little bit right there. Do you discuss all of that before he takes office, or is this something that he's not going to get day one, but you will work with him down the road, or will you work with him down the road?
No, of course. We've already had meetings. Our staffs are in constant communication because I want him to hit the ground running. But also, he understands this is a 4-year term he has. There'll be a rollout of some ideas. You have to build support for others, but also just the everyday running of city government requires a lot of support from the state. We fund a lot of programs. He'll be coming to Albany, like all the mayors do, asking for financial support and making sure that we continue investing in the subway system and safety there. And we're seeing dramatic changes in the investments that I have made in supporting police overtime, so there's more police officers visible, hundreds of millions of dollars to make sure that every train has a camera on it. And right now, we have had the safest few months in a row in recorded history on our subways. We want to keep that going. So I talked to him about public safety as well, keeping those investments, rebuilding the police force, and supporting our police officers because they're out there protecting us every day. So I think there's a lot of common ground, but where there's differences, I have no trouble talking about them. You know, we've had those conversations, or the timing of some of the ideas, what we can actually afford now. And remember this, we're taking a lot of financial hits from Washington. Programs that had been funded by the federal government, they're now putting on the backs of the states. So we have to step back and assess, okay, wait a minute, this is the federal government's responsibility. This is why we pay federal taxes for programs like health care, support for hospitals, nutrition programs, but to the extent that they stop doing this, we have to have those conversations in our next budget about what we're going to do. So it's a very fluid situation, but it's very positive. I think people should know that. It's a very positive conversation about what's good for New York.
Can we talk about taxes? Because obviously New Yorkers are talking about that. I know at one point you said no new taxes, but then I felt like there was room for taxes. Are we talking about taxes personal or business in New York? I know next year's also an election year for you.
Right, and that's independent because I've focused on reducing taxes since I've been governor. We expedited a middle-class tax cut my first year in office. Then we instituted our own tax cut last year, the largest middle-class tax rate cut in 70 years.
But will we have new taxes?
Well, I'm not raising income taxes because I believe that we want to make sure that New York is more affordable for everybody, and I want people who are successful to keep creating the jobs and investing here. But we have to look at other revenue sources to fund. Again, we're dealing with a lot of hits from Washington.
So would you raise business taxes then? Because Mr. Mamdani keeps saying New York doesn't pay as much in business taxes as Jersey does, and that's not true. Businesses pay a payroll tax. There's plenty. You tax everything.
We have other taxes as well. So I would just say this. The budget process is unfolding. We'll be working with the legislators over the next couple months, and we'll find out how we can take off a bite of what we need to do, like what is doable in this upcoming year and the following year.
Would you veto a tax increase?
I'm not raising income taxes. But anything
Personal,
else,
what about business?
Anything else has to go into our budget process. So we're not there yet. We don't know what our needs are. I have to look at the revenues coming in. We're even going to look at how well we're doing with the end of year stock market bonuses. So the bonuses, we get tax revenues from those. So I don't have a clear view of what the resources are coming in, the revenues, and manage that against the Trump cuts versus what our needs are. So all will be told in due time, but we're really focused on just delivering for New Yorkers the programs and the services they come to expect.
Talk about cuts from Washington. Just yesterday, the Secretary of Agriculture said that they're debating withholding some funds that would allow Democrat-run states to fund the SNAP program. You've obviously been against that. But what they're saying in Washington is we just want the rolls of people that are on public assistance. You've been resistant about that. Several states have, by the way, more than 20. Why not just say, okay, here are the names of the recipients?
Let me tell you what's going on here. We actually went to court about this because people sign up for a particular program not to have their name in a, think about, do you really want every bit of information about you in other parts of the government monitoring you and tracking what you do? I mean, this is a privacy issue as well. Even if you're on SNAP and getting nutrition benefits like 42 million Americans do, does that mean that your privacy should be invaded now and that you should be giving out this information unrelated to this program? So we went to court. A judge in October said, governors of these states, you are correct. You do not have to turn over this information, and they cannot withhold that money. Now, to have a secretary in the Trump administration basically saying we're going to ignore a court order, that is problematic. That is problematic, and that's what we're dealing with right now.
What are your concerns other than just privacy?
Privacy is a big one. Privacy is a big one. Now, we are working on the fraud issues. It's something we monitor at the state level. We don't want anyone to abuse programs. But basically, to end a program for everybody in the expectation you might find a few who are abusing it, don't you care about everybody else who's hungry? The Mayor-elect Mamdani told me that on Veterans Day, he was sitting down with some veterans who had been, had a hard life. One of them said when the SNAP benefits stopped, he went to his refrigerator and it was empty. And that is a heartbreaking story to know that those who wear a uniform to keep us safe at night, to defend our country and our values, can't count on a program to feed them. So that is just cruelty. They need to stop trying to find ways to hurt Americans, make them go hungry, and work with us. We'll work with you to fight fraud. Of course, we do that already. But I think there's just this base feeling that these are programs that no one needs, and we should eliminate them to save money. And what do they do with that money? Well, that helps fund tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires, and that's exactly what's going on.
Can we talk about the MTA? They're close to, I guess, balancing the budget, but it does seem like it's a big abyss with the MTA, and they're depending on the casino licenses. They're going to make, what, $1.5 billion from the just upfront casino licenses? Is that going to be enough for the MTA?
We have found sustainable sources of revenues for the MTA.
So does that mean they're not going to raise fares anymore?
I think it's very incremental. I mean, there's not going to be any, you see some other states, they keep it very low and all of a sudden it goes up, dollars. If it goes up a dime or a nickel here and there, that is what happens in the normal course of business to cover escalating costs. I mean, look at the tariffs for having to pay extra for everything, even supplies that we use to, manufacture our train cars from Canada. Like, we're spending more because of the Trump tariffs on something like that. So we have to make adjustments for that. But I don't want to see any increases that people are going to think are significant at all. It's just incremental. So we have the MTA on a path to sustainability. It was going off the cliff when I first became governor. Nobody was making the proper investments. I stepped in and said, I will support at the state level. You have to find savings. I put that on the MTA. You have to find savings or I'm not going to keep funding this. And we did. And also congestion pricing, I know your favorite topic, is another.
Governor, I've come to think that, okay, maybe it's okay with funding the MTA.
We're getting it
hasn't really helped with congestion.
No, it has. No, traffic, there's 20 million fewer cars that went into that zone since last January.
Go in there now.
Well, it would have been worse. It's down 10%.
Right, it doesn't get rid of all traffic.
Yeah,
It just
and
reduces
ridership
traffic.
on the subways and the buses is up 11%.
Well, that's good.
So you're getting what we're looking for, that adjustment in behavior plus the revenue. So
We can talk to you forever.
I know.
Your staff told us you have a hard time
I
out
know,
of here.
but wait, can we
so
just
you have
find
to go.
out what she's going to do for the governor's going to do for the holidays?
Yes. My house is being decorated right now. I have a sister who's very good at this. She brought up some of her decorations. We're decorating. I'll be having grandchildren over, a little 3-year-old and a 4-month-old, and so I'll be out shopping for some real pretty dresses for them and playing.
Is there a traditional meal in the Hochul house?
Usually it has some beef tenderloin and. I'm all about pies. I've still been eating leftover pumpkin pie for days. I inhale pumpkin
I think that
pies.
could be a problem. I'm not sure.
Exactly. All right.
I'll make sure I have fresh pies for that. But it's great to see the fail. It reminds you, especially when there's little kids in the house, whether they're your own or your grandkids. This is who we're fighting for. This is what it's all about. And to come together at the holidays is really special for me, too. So.
All right, we're getting yelled at, so we got to let you go. And we let you out of here without even bringing up
Since
your
when
bills.
do we
We're
care when
barely
they're
hanging
yelling
on
at us?
for
Bills will be
playoff
fine.
slot.
Bills will be
Barely
fine.
hanging on. They're on Fox this weekend, actually,
I know.
on Sunday.
Hopefully the next time I tell you, we'll get through the wild card. We'll be in the playoffs. Things will be good.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Governor.
Governor.
Good to
Really
see both of you.
appreciate you being here.
Thank you.